Hi friends, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of If You Judge It By Its Cover here on Johnson's Ever After. My name is Ashley. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Guys, I am really excited for this book talk. I can't remember the last time I was this excited, and it might have something to do with the fact that I finished the book less than 5 minutes ago. I love the book so much. I literally I got a drink of water and I sat down and I'm ready to make a book talk. Now, fair warning, I'm still not that eloquent about books. This is really just my thoughts, kind of what goes on. You know, if you've read this book, I would love to know your thoughts. If you have any similar recommendations, I would also love to hear those. But anyways, let's get started. So, the book I read this time is a novel love story by Ashley Poston. Still can't figure out the proper way to pronounce her name. I'm very, very sorry. I love this book. So I had actually read The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston earlier this year, and that was a book that I also loved. The only one of hers that I know of that is out that I haven't read is The 7-Year Slip, which I've also heard very good things about. And with how much I loved this book, that just makes me want to read that. But anyways, so I will start by reading you the synopsis, okay? So, it starts with it says, "Love is stranger than fiction. Eileen, Elsie, Merriweather loves to get lost in a good happily ever after. Don't we all? The fictional kind anyway, because at least imaginary men don't leave you at the altar. She feels safe in stories, at home in books, which might be why she's so set on going to her book club's annual retreat this year. She needs good friends, cheap wine, and grand romantic gestures no matter what. When her car unexpectedly breaks down on the way, she finds herself stranded in a quaint town that seems like it's right out of a novel, because it is. This place can't be real, and yet she's here, in Aloriton, the town from her favorite romance series, where the candy store's honey taffy is always sweet, the local bar's burgers are always a little burnt, and rain always comes in the afternoons. It feels like home. It's perfect and perfectly frozen, trapped in the late author's last unfinished story. Elsie is sure that must be why she's here, to help bring the town to its storybook ending, except there's a character in Aloriton which can't place, a grumpy bookstore owner with mint green eyes and an irritatingly sexy mouth and impeccable taste in novels, and he does not want her finishing this book. Which is a problem, because Elsie is beginning to think the town's happily ever after might be intertwined with her own. Guys, let me tell you, if you are a bookworm and you love reading books about books, you gotta check this book out. It was so good. It had, first of all, great romance story. You know, the chemistry was instantly there. It got hot. It was, I wouldn't say crazy spicy, but it definitely had some scenes that like had me reaching for a glass of water. And I loved the chemistry. I'm usually not huge on Grumpy Meets Sunshine, which is surprising to me because if you watch the channel, you know that I really love the Luke Lorelai storyline on Gilmore Girls, and that is very much Grumpy to Sunshine. Stop it, you're not helping. My husband has never been here when I make a book review video before, and he's in the background dancing because he's laughing at how excited I was about this book.
I love it!
But anyways, another great aspect to this is it also felt magical, but it was also real life, and you could really relate to the characters and their emotions. Excuse me, dryer. Now my husband is fake fighting the dryer for me. Anyways, another great thing about this book is it is a book for book lovers. If you like books about books, you gotta check it out. It really encapsulates the feelings of what it means to be a reader, you know, the emotions you go through, how attached you get to stories. I actually wrote down a couple quotes to talk about it. So these are both actually from the beginning of chapter 5. If I had written down every quote in this book that I could relate to as a book reader, we'd be here about 20 years. Well, maybe not that long, but you get the point. It's for exaggeration. Anyway, so the first quote is kind of like in the opening. It says, "Sometimes a book can change your life. It's hard to explain that to someone who doesn't read, or who has never felt their heart bend so strongly toward a story that it might just snap in two. Some books are a comfort, some are a reprieve, others a vacation, a lesson, a heartbreak." I felt that in my soul so much, because there have been times over the years where people have like told me it's weird that I like to read so much. It's, you know, it's trending now, but back in the day it was like people found it odd. Like, I remember I worked at McDonald's, and one of my friends, who, nicest girl in the world, she could not for the life of her understand why I loved reading so much. And like, she and other people called me a freak for it. And, you know, people are confused why I would rather read than, you know, do, I don't know, typical 20-something activities. I don't know, what, I'm 28, am I 27, honey?
I know I'm 27.
Okay, so I'm 27. But I don't know what a normal 27-year-olds do for fun. But to me, like, reading is my fun, my safe space. Even though for a very long time, like, honestly, as a mom now, it's hard to find time to read. I'm not as connected to books as I used to be. And it's interesting because, you know, I try so hard. I still love books, but I don't connect with books quite as often. But, you know, you can kind of get lost in the bookish ways. Life gets in the way, such as it did for the character in this book. She very much had lost sight of why she loved reading. In the beginning chapters, like, she had had her moments, she really questioned it. But then, you know, she's pulled literally into the story, and she remembers why. And it's a great metaphor for the fact that all of us readers are lucky enough to get pulled into stories. And then there was another quote that's about finding favorite book. Now, I don't have a favorite book. If you asked me to pick one, I probably couldn't do it. But the quote was this: "The moment was so unassuming, so normal. Sometimes that's how it happens. Sometimes your favorite book hits you out of the blue like a bolt of lightning." And it's true. I realize in my life the books that I have loved the most, they're not like, it's not like, oh, I have to read this story about this because this is gonna answer all my questions. It's just, I pick up this book that seems interesting and it makes me happy, and it, you know, it sparks something in me that I love so much. And that was what this book did for me. I loved it so much. And I was like floating on air the whole time I was reading it, and I haven't felt that with a book in a long time. And so I was really grateful. Obviously, I highly recommend you read this. And that's a novel love story by Ashley Poston. Again, I really hope I'm pronouncing her name right. If you have thoughts, you know, I'd love to hear them. And I know that I read this way late from when it was popular on Bookstagram. Supposedly it was on Book Talk too, but I don't do TikTok, so I don't know. But I loved this book. I highly recommend it. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you in our next video.